Welcome back to this latest episode of Japan's Top Business Interviews. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, President, Dale Carnegie, Tokyo Training. My special guest today is Noboru Nakatani, who is the President of JASTEC Japan.
Hello.
Noboru, great, welcome, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you again.
So, we met at an event and I was interested to know, how you got to be running this big operation in Japan. I thought it'd be great to interview and be a guest on my podcast.
Thank you very much.
So, give us a little bit of the backstory. You're running a big operation here. I think you're telling me it's nearly 50 years old in Japan.
Yes.
You've been here for like the last 12 years, so that's quite a big chunk of time. But let's go back. You mentioned also you were a Keio student and you graduated. What happened after that?
Well, I learned mechanical engineering at the Keio University. And actually I started, right after my graduation, I started to work with a Canon. That was a great experience. Actually, I started as a manufacturing engineer. Then they transferred me to France to launch, French factory. And my job there was to find domestic parts suppliers. That was a lot of fun. I learned French there, so now I speak French a little bit too. And then I came back to Japan and worked as a product designer.
This is still for Canon?
Still for Canon in Tokyo, 5 years. Then again, somehow they decided to transfer me to France again to launch R&D center. So then I spent 5 years there. That was a really interesting R&D center. I established, in addition to the internal project, I established a lot of partnership with a domestic, European research institute and universities. And then I actually came to the conclusion that I have to learn more about business because my job there was to not only the technology research but also to sell these projects to Canon's business group. So I decided to leave Canon there and joined business school at UCLA and I spent 2 years to got my MBA.
Canon didn't think to send you to UCLA because Japanese companies used to do that a lot back in the good old days.
Actually, I negotiated with the Canon a little bit, but they didn't have that kind of the system to send their employees. So I decided to go there with my own fund, my money. Yes. And I liked the US very much, their mentality, a positive attitude about the business. So I decided to stay there for a while. So I got I got a job at Deloitte there in New York City, and I worked as a management consultant for a couple of years there.
Okay, that's interesting. You've gone from mechanical engineering, was it, to consulting? That's quite a big shift. Yeah.
Yes. But I actually learned at the consulting too. That was a totally different economics. The professional services economics is very different from that of manufacturing companies. So when I was enjoying the job at the Deloitte, JASTEC actually contacted me because they wanted to globalize their business operations. So I decided to take that role and established a small subsidiary in New York City, and I started working on M&A and bought a French software company there to turn it around. Which actually...
And JASTEC's key business is not engineering.
JASTEC's key business... JASTEC's is a enterprise software development company. And they build huge tailor-made computer systems for their clients. Most of their clients are, like Fortune 500 or, Tokyo Stock Exchange prime section companies. And... but they wanted to do something different in overseas. So I bought a prepackaged software company there, image recognition company in France, which actually I sold that company successfully 5 years ago though.
Okay.
But yes. But then the so-called Lehman shock happened and the headquarters was in a bit of trouble. They experienced a steep fall in terms of revenue by 46% from 14 billion Japanese yen to 8.6 Japanese yen.
That's a pretty big drop.
Yes, exactly, in 2 years. The founder asked me to come back to Japan to take over the CEO position 12 years ago, and I'm here. And fortunately, with...
and is the founder still working in the company?
is yes, as a Kaicho-san.
I think I passed him in the elevator hall when I was coming in here.
Is it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
guess looking at his age and his manner,
Yes.
I thought, oh, he's probably the Kaicho.
Yes.
And the way your secretary interacted with him, I thought, oh, okay, probably.
Right.
That's
Yes.
the case, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Well, so it took us something like 10 years, by the way, to put it back to the original growth curve, and so we're here.
Looking good.
Yes.
So let's talk about leadership. So you obviously would have had leadership positions inside Canon because they've sent you off to open factories and R&D centres in France. So that's a pretty big deal. But also inside Japan itself. So this podcast is focused on leading in Japan. So
Okay. Got it.
you talk a little bit about maybe some of your early leadership positions inside Canon in a Japanese context, and then maybe contrast that a little bit with your experience of leading in France, because I imagine most of the team in France were French or Europeans. So that'll be interesting to get that contrast. And also then we'll talk a little bit about what happens when you get to America as well. So what about your first experiences of leading in Canon? Do they have a certain format for that? They give you training for that? How did you become a leader in Canon?
Well, in Canon, that was back in late 1980s and the early 1990s. So Japan was like in a economic bubble at the time. Yes, booming. Yes. So the management style in Japan was more like they kind of. It was very free. I mean, what I want to say is, I was on the engineering side. So think about the new products, and let's discuss about that, and then let's go for it. That kind of things, and and to file patents as many as possible, and that was a kind of leadership. What I want to say is, it's not like necessarily top down.
Right.
Yes, and sometimes not that logical,
Right.
But let's try it out and see if it works or not. That was a very interesting period.
So is that just typical of? I've never worked in engineering. So is that typical of engineers, that the leadership environment for engineers should be not so restrictive, high on creativity, experimentation, go for it, or is that just Canon, do you think?
Well, it's difficult to say because I didn't work for other Japanese engineering company, but probably there was a philosophy of Canon from the beginning. Yes, I think. Yeah.
So, and then I guess your first foreign posting is in France as a leader. You're establishing a big factory. You've got a leader team. So, how did that early experience in leading in Japan set you up for leading in France?
Well, I found a lot of differences when I firstly, joined the team in France. They were, can I say, a lot of people say in Japan the decision-making process is very long, and in France it's also they are also quite long. It takes a long time to make a final decision.
Really?
But yes, but there's a big difference. In Japan, people sometimes hesitate to make a decision. That's one of the reasons why it takes a long time. In France, their culture, I think, from my point of view, greatly values in a lot of discussions.
Yeah.
They speak about a lot of things, and when they make a decision, they think about what will be the impact from 5 years later from now on. It's more like a longer
strategic view.
Yes. So that was quite interesting. And if we try to bring in the Canon style, then people say it's not logical or kind of things. So that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So I think I learned a lot there too. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, later you came back to Japan. So this is interesting. You've been exposed to a different way of doing things in France, and you come back to Japan. Did you think about, could I apply something I learned about leadership in France to the Japanese environment, or they're just so totally different, don't even try?
Actually, I tried a little part. Yes. Like when I tried to set up kind of a midterm roadmap in terms of technology development and product development, and made a lot of proposals to my boss. And I think they liked it very much. Yes, that was a little bit different from.
So it was a little bit more of a strategic view, long-term view than they'd been perhaps using in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, and so, okay, so then you go back to France again the second time, and I guess it's probably R&D Centre, it's probably you're negotiating these contracts, you realise I need more business acumen. So you go off to UCLA, now you're in Deloitte. So in Deloitte, you're probably not particularly leading anyone, I guess. You're a consultant, you've got
Yes.
a pool of people you can draw on probably to go and get information for you or help you to create stuff. But it's not really a line manager position, I'm guessing. Yeah, right? And
Yes.
so, but then you have to start JASTEC in America. Well, that's interesting. That's quite a challenge, isn't it? Starting anything anywhere from zero.
Yes.
So how did you find that experience?
I found it very interesting because I had well, let's say 80% autonomy. Of course, I had to report to the headquarters, but still, I had a lot of autonomy, and I could build the entire operation from scratch. So I was really excited.
Yeah. Often we talk about in Japan, if you're going to start a brand new operation in Japan, it's very hard to get Japanese people to come and work for you because their grandparents don't like it, their parents don't like it, maybe the wife doesn't like it. If it's not a brand name company. If you're a small company, I imagine JASTEC probably wasn't such a big, well-known company in the States, or it was well-known?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Right? So in Japan, it's quite hard to get people to join, but I'm guessing in a country like America, it's not that difficult to get people to come and join, or was it?
Yes, that's true. But I had a bit of difficulty too, especially when I tried to can I say start working with investment banks, for example, because JASTEC they don't know anything about JASTEC, so it was a little bit. I had to struggle a little bit to find.
So the
collaborators.
investment banks are important for you for the M&A process. Is that why they were involved?
Yes.
And so they weren't sure they should waste their time on this company they've
Exactly.
heard of, and they can use their services somewhere else and make a lot more money, is probably what they were thinking.
Yes.
So how did you convince them?
Well, I presented how JASTEC is doing well in Japan. We have a lot of cash, and I have this vision to grow with the acquired company, the kind of things, the midterm plan, and we succeeded to attract a few different boutique IBs. Yeah.
Okay.
And we decided to work on with it.
Right. And so you start that M&A process.
Yes.
That must have been very interesting. I've never done an M&A myself, so done some of the due diligence on one, but didn't actually get to make the final decision. So tell us a bit about that process.
That was really interesting. And also I wanted to learn a lot from that process. So what I did was actually I asked them to set my own desk in investment bank and the banker's office.
You moved inside there?
Yeah, I commuted it there every day.
Wow.
So I actually joined as a part of the team to find make the long list, short list, and the discussion with the prospective companies, and planning due diligence and evaluation, etc., etc. I did that together along with the investment banks. So I learned a lot there. I was an investment banker there.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
You're doing the same work.
Yes. So
and I
guess
guess I'm guessing that at some point you have to convince headquarters here to spend the dough to buy this unknown company to them in America. That must have been interesting. How did you find that process of convincing them to say, okay, we've done our due diligence, we've come down to a group of companies, I think this is the one. How hard was it to convince people to hand over the dough to buy it?
Well, by the way, it's a French company I bought.
Okay.
Yeah, but still. So
is that a plus or a minus?
Oh, that's a plus. I think
plus.
Plus or minus or whatever. It was a really great company with a great technology, so I think that was a plus.
I'm just thinking from a headquarters point of view here. Was buying a French company a plus for them or a minus for them, or it didn't matter?
Didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
Yes. Well, what I thought was very important was the communication with the headquarters. So in addition to the monthly report, to show them what I have in my mind, I actually visited the headquarters at least once 3 months or something like
Right.
that to explain what's going on, and also the midterm vision, the goals, how what I have in my mind will help the JASTEC's globalization.
So it's interesting, you talked before about having that influence from France and how the decision-making had that more long-term strategic aspect to it. Was that something that JASTEC had itself, or was this something that maybe you brought into JASTEC and influenced how they do things?
I brought in new things. The JASTEC's business model is more like a professional services. So they don't have any products. It's more labor intensive. So in order to increase their revenue, they have to hire people, that kind of things. And what I was trying to do was to introduce more capital-intensive business model, prepackaged software, and to sell the software to 1,000 different clients. So after the break-even, that's only the profit.
It's all cream after
yes,
that, isn't
yes,
it?
yes.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess it's a recurring model too, because they have to get
Exactly.
updates of the software and
yes,
etc.
and a
So
recurring revenue.
subscription
kind of
model
things.
is good, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. It was a kind of subscription model too. So in upfront, they have to pay a certain amount of money. Then after that, there's a maintenance fee,
Yeah,
which is like 20% of the software's price.
nice.
So that's
20% every year is pretty good.
yes, ARR. So so that's something I wanted to introduce to this company to strengthen its business portfolio.
And so they look at your selection of company, they say, okay, you got the dough, go buy it. So how many did you buy at that time, or was it just
Well, actually, one.
Just one? Okay.
Yes, but that was a really good company that was working on law enforcement, and it is with the law enforcement entities in the U.S. and Europe, and also later on in Japan too. But when I wanted to expand their business to the corporate sector, and that was quite successful. It was part of the European, multimedia search engine project called Quero. As an image recognition company, only one image recognition company in Europe as a participant. So this was good.
And so that company, it was in America. So presumably it was in other countries besides America. It was a global company at the time you bought it, or was it mainly France and America?
Mainly France and Europe. And
not so much in America.
Yeah, only a few clients. So
Right,
yes.
right.
They had U.S. subsidiary in Washington D.C. because they are working with government a little bit,
Right.
law enforcement.
Getting permissions and whatever.
Right.
Certifications. Yeah.
But we moved to the subsidiary to New York City,
Okay.
and joined with my office and started to work on.
How many people in your office in New York?
Approximately 50 people.
Okay, you built
Yeah.
it up quite well.
Yeah.
50
Yes.
people,
Yeah.
Interesting too. I wonder whether strategically, because of the nature of America and Silicon Valley and the size of those players, they're huge, that actually tying up with a company in France, in Europe, was actually a good choice because perhaps, I'm guessing, maybe not as competitive there, perhaps, as if you try to buy something in America.
That's very good and interesting questions. We screened a lot of different companies in the U.S. and also in Europe. The valuation of the startups in the U.S. is normally very, very high, especially when it comes to Silicon Valley. And I was more interested in deep tech companies rather than the business model companies.
Right.
So the Europe was probably a very good, nice pull to find good companies. Yes.
And I guess also, where you talk about deep tech, your experience before in Canon doing the R&D center
Yes.
establishment in France, and also having all those partnerships, you probably got a pretty good sense about R&D
Yes.
as well from that exposure, to have some sense of what the French strengths were for that aspect of the deep tech as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Though I was a mechanical engineer, still I had a good sense about what is great about this technology.
Yeah.
Regardless of the genre of the technology, software or hardware.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you get the call from the coach or from the chairman, okay, we need you back here, come back. So did you come back, in what role did they bring you back to Japan? Was it to lead the company straight away, or were you sort of doing some, I don't know, division head and then you moved up, or how did they stage it?
Yes, I was already a board member when I was in the U.S.
Right.
So and also I was a CEO of the global operations. The JASTEC International. That's the acquisition vehicle, and also the French company CEO of the French company too. So they somehow thought that this guy probably. Let's try
put him straight into
the CEO. Yes.
Right. No training wheels, straight into the.
Straight, yes. That was pretty tough. There was a public company, for example, and in less than 1 year right after I took over the CEO position, I had to chair the shareholders meeting, for example.
Right.
So there were a lot of things that I didn't expect, but I survived.
Is that the stage where all the companies' shareholder meetings are held on the same day, so the Yakuza can't use blackmail techniques against companies to try and extract money from them to not be a nuisance?
Mm-hmm.
Was it in those days when it was sort of that was going on, or are we still gone past that?
That passed, yes, yes.
So were you getting any activist shareholders holding the stock? Like a lot of American companies become activist shareholders. They buy stock. They want to change the company. They want to make more money. They're trying to push hard in Japan. None of it's been particularly successful that I can see. But was it that sort of case, or Japanese local shareholders activists, or it was just pretty much you go through the numbers and that's it?
Well, recently, I mean, for the last 4 or 5 years, there are both Japanese and foreign institutional investors who actually give me some opinions, or informally. I mean, in the IR session, but I'm not sure if I should call them activists or not. Most of their opinions are very constructive.
Okay.
So
I was just thinking, you turn up to your first shareholder meeting and there's a riot going on with unhappy shareholders, the company's lost all this dough. Who are you? Why are you here? You get some more experience. You didn't have that problem, right?
I didn't have that kind of problem.
That's okay.
Yes.
That's quite a different problem.
Yes.
Quite a different problem. So, what about also, you've had the founder, who's been out running the business, presumably. He's had to vacate the chair and put you in it. And there's no shortage of stories around the world of owners having trouble with successes, Often it's family members, they have trouble with the family members, or they're non-family members, it doesn't matter. It seems to be quite hard for them to let go, hard for them to actually let the person do the job. They want to control everything, micromanage everything. Not so easy to take over from the founder. How about your experience?
Well, we have very good role allocation, I think. The founder established this JASTEC company in order to establish a certain way of computer software development. That's the let's say production development. How they can we can build the huge computer system very efficiently with high productivity, that kind of things. I don't go too much into the details, but that's his vision. It's more like how to streamline the entire process and increase the gross income. So while my role is more CEO type of a role, so we have a very good job allocation kind of things with the founder. Yes, but that's true. When it comes to the production management, he does the kind of micromanagement to the development divisions. Yes. Yeah.
And you talked about before about having a more strategic view, trying to also have a subscription model, software package, 1,000 customers, dilute your risk type of idea. How did people here think about that? Because that's not the model they've actually started with.
Well, I had an experience with the SaaS subscription model with that French company. And when it works, if it works, that's a fantastic model. But if it doesn't reach the break even, that's like a hell. That's the you have to record a lot of loss. So and also the can I say sales model is very different when it comes to the professional services like JASTEC's main stream work. Then the case is like more like one-on-one sales marketing kind of things. But if it's like subscription model, then you have to take a different approach to communicate with a lot of thousands of different people, companies, and so that's if we decide to move on to that model, first thing we have to do is to the idea about the product, if it sells or not. And then after that, we have to prepare for how to sell it and how to maintain it. We have to build a specific team for that. And that's a huge investment. So the first thing we have to do is, we are not reluctant to move on to that direction, but we have to prepare.
If you want to be successful as a leader, do the Leadership Training for Managers course. All companies need people who can both manage and lead. Leading people screams out for real skills in communication, dealing with all different types of people, being excellent at innovation, planning, delegation, handling mistakes, doing performance reviews really well, and inspiring and motivating the team. Do the Leadership Training for Managers course now in either Japanese or English. Are you doing business with Japan? Do you really know how things work? Japan Business Mastery provides the answers. Do you have the right networks and know how to create them? Do you know how to get on the same wavelength with Japanese buyers? Do you know what being trustworthy looks like from the Japanese perspective? Japan Business Mastery is based on more than 30 years' experience in Japan and will become your go-to guide. Want to succeed in Japan? Buy Japan Business Mastery now. So you were able to convince them to give it a go anyway, to say, let's trial it. I presume you could start with something reasonably small and test it and then see, because as you say, the sales model, one massive big computer, one client to, a software package for thousands of people, totally different.
Different, yes, exactly.
Totally different approach.
Yes.
So, and so there'd be a lot of retooling or a lot of additional resources needed in the company who are focused on that model, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
So thinking about your time here, the 12 years you've been here, you've moved the focus of the company. Well, not so much moved it, you've added to it. It seems more like you've added to it. You said, look, we've got this base here. How about we add this layer on top and we give us additional income and we'll, get back to where we were and do better before Lehman shock. So in terms of getting people to come with you, getting them engaged in this picture, not just the board, because that's one thing, but then you've got to get the troops to actually get behind this, the division heads, who are often going to be very powerful in Japanese companies, they've got their own opinion on things. How did you find getting them engaged and then getting the teams created and getting everyone engaged in the idea? What worked in terms of getting engagement for you? That
is a very good question. So I said that 10, 12 years ago, but the revenue of this company steeply, fell by 46% again. And probably I was lucky for that because we had the same goal to put it back to the original growth curve. So there was a kind of a company-wide party in which we invited all the employees in a huge hall, banquet in a hotel, and we talked about we have the same goal to put it back to put JASTEC back to the original growth curve, and people were struggling because of that huge steep drop of the revenue. Some engineers were idling. They were learning new languages in as in a training mode in a company. They were quite frustrated. They wanted they were probably, I guess, some people were worried about that they may get laid off or something like that. So what I said was that we don't have any intention to lay off any single person of this company, and we work together to put it back to the original curve. And the great thing was this company was that there were a lot of different prestigious clients from which we didn't actually win a lot of our revenues, but still we had a very good relationship with those companies. So why don't we upsell these not really dormant, but the small, big clients, but the small
Not being
revenue.
maximized as a client.
Yeah, so that's kind of a readjustment of the client portfolio in terms of revenue. So we set kind of one of the biggest reasons why our revenue steeply dropped was before me, the company's revenue was dependent on one single client, a big client, maybe something like more than 30% or something like that of the entire revenue, which is but that company went down and lost the huge revenue. And also then after that, there was this huge, earthquake in Japan, and we lost some revenues from certain companies too. But when I took a look at the rest of the clients, they're all
The
prestigious.
earthquake you're talking about there is 95, not 2011. You're talking about the Kobe earthquake?
No, I'm sorry. Earthquake was like a 311 back in
You're talking about Tohoku.
Tohoku. Yes,
Okay,
yes. Sorry.
2011.
Yeah. So and also our strategy was to balance the client portfolio. Maybe 10% of the budget. It is the maximum revenue from one client.
Yeah.
Like if it's the $150 million US dollar budget in terms of revenue, 15 is the max. But then use the effort to other clients to upsell.
Yeah.
But you will learn a lot of things from different clients, and you will accumulate a lot of knowledge from the clients. You will study their midterm plan to how to increase the upsell those clients, the rest of the clients. So we succeeded from that strategy and put it back to the original curve successfully.
So, you have the banquet, you explain no one's getting fired, we're going to try and move certain clients into a higher buying status with a broader range of products. So that sounds to everyone like a plus, right? So people can sign on for that. But you've still got to get people actually doing it. So if I've been doing, we've got a small group of big clients with huge amounts of volume in one place. Now I've got to run around and do more of different things. How do you get people to sign on for that? And often, what about the skill set to do that as well?
Could you rephrase that question again, please?
Sorry.
Yeah.
So when you make a change like that, okay, the team has been used to doing things one way.
Yes.
Now we're going to do it a different way. So it's a bit more complex for them because there's more interactions with different clients, and there's a different skill set required to do that as well. So how did you help them to make that bridge between what they had been doing to what they needed to be doing?
Yeah. So it's basically training, internal training. Yes. So there are already some project managers, even if the revenue is small, there. So actually, we put those people to different project managers and trained, and let them make proposals to the clients to upsell, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So retraining was really important. Yeah.
So you launched the R&D project in France. You spent time with the investment bankers in New York doing due diligence on tech companies, right? So thinking about the company here, what things have you found work well in terms of getting creativity from people? So R&D people are a certain type of group. That's their speciality. But there's lots and lots of areas in business where we can do better and just save money, save time, improve things, which is a creativity element, an innovation element. What things have you found work well for getting people to be more innovative?
More innovative, yes. Especially right after after the economic boom ended, I think there was, when I came back to Japan, I found a big difference between the Japan I knew and the Japan I saw. That was 12 years ago. That was like fear for failure. So even in R&D, I think in Japan it's more conservative, getting more conservative. So that is something like we have to eliminate. I mean, the fear of failures. I'm not really sure I'm answering your question, but that's one of the biggest.
We're getting there.
Yeah,
But fear of failure is a big part of it, because Japan is a culture of punishment for mistakes.
Right.
And so people tend to err on the side of caution rather than take a risk. And innovation, by its very nature, is risky. And so there is always that tension between, do I suggest something which might fail, and if it fails, it's going to explode back onto me. Maybe I won't suggest it, or we try something, but we're not going to try all that hard because we're not sure who's going to take responsibility if it goes wrong. So not really going to get behind it. There's that tension in Japan between taking creative steps and actually having a responsibility for the outcome, and having an organisation that says, we accept it's a messy process, go for it. How did you do it here?
So let's take an example of my company. So after putting it back to the original curve, our next step was exactly that, how to be innovative in the company. So we are now on the original curve, and we are making money, fortunately. So what's the next vision, the next step? And it's about the creativity. And when it comes to information technologies, for the last 10 years, the technologies are getting much more sophisticated and complicated. It's not like, we have artificial intelligence, we have a graph database, etc. We have a lot of different technologies, with which you probably need some background about mathematics or computer science. And when it comes to our company's next step, one of the important things for us is to strengthen our skill sets in terms of technology. So what I actually tried to do was to eliminate the sense of failure, is to start with something small. So we established different working groups within these companies. One working group the target is to find interesting startup companies with very strong core technologies, with which we should make a proposal to our existing clients, which fits to our clients' midterm plan kind of things. Another working group is more like a mastery of artificial intelligence technologies, and again to connect the knowledge and skill sets to the proposals to our clients. It's always, it has to make money, so it's always tied to client proposals to clients. But the reason why we have been doing that, it was it's not only to accumulate new skill sets, but also to eliminate the sense of fear for failure in terms of innovation and creativity, and because we can fail in small. When we make a proposal and we do a kind of a proof of concept internally, and we may fail, but then still, it's within the kind of the training budget, and they can fail as much as they want. It's quite small, and from that, the important thing about failure is not necessarily negative. From the failure, if you analyze that, you will understand why they failed. Maybe they can share the experiences, why and the information about how why they fail to other teams, and they actually, we can stop other teams to do the same failure kind of things. So that kind of mindset change is very important, I think. Failure is not necessarily a bad thing. So you can learn a lot of things, and if you share that with your colleagues, then that will make the company greater, kind of thing.
Part of that is trust too, isn't it? How do you build trust in your teams?
Trusting, yes, that's that's something I learned from this particular company. Is that if you do too much micromanagement, then you will lose the trust, but that they stop thinking by their own brains, and they see their boss, which is me, just like a commanding officer kind of thing, and probably that is not a trust. But when I learned was we set a vision goal. And when I try to make them succeed, I think of my job as part of my job was to help my employees succeed toward the goal, and I make great efforts to do that. Then they will start trusting me. That's my impression. I'm sorry, I'm not probably explaining it in a clear way, but I somehow, my guts learned that kind of things. It's yeah.
What about culture? I mean, do you think in the 12 years you've been in the company you've changed the culture here?
I think yes, a little bit. Especially young people, especially who are working with me directly on those working groups, they are having, can I say, they show a lot of a positive attitude about tackling new things, including introducing new technologies, learn about it, and make a proposal, kind of things. So I think little by little is changing. Yeah.
Because you mentioned about this sort of taking a more long-term view. That changes the whole planning process.
Yes.
Changes the whole thinking process. And then if you change the concept around how you see mistakes, that changes a whole raft of leadership elements and attributes of control. And allowing people to fail because it's part of a learning process, that's again quite a big cultural change internally, I would imagine. If we were going to give some advice to someone who is going to be sent to Japan, what would be some advice you'd give them?
Japanese people are, start working very well once the concrete goal is set. So if someone is coming to Japan from outside and have to manage a Japanese team, he or she, I recommend to set up a very concrete goal. But then after that, if he or she tries to do a lot of too much micromanagement and also the kind of a commando style management, then they will actually be really discouraged and stop thinking by their own brains. And so, as an attitude, he or she should actually try to help them succeed toward the goal they set. I think that should work well, I think.
Often headquarters has a goal
for
Japan. They send you out to Japan for a reason, right?
Yes.
And headquarters gives you your goals. Okay, here's what you've got to do when you're in Japan. So when people arrive, are you suggesting that they say, okay, this is the goal, and we're going to go and get it? Or should they wait before they announce the goal and observe, talk to people first, get some sense of who the people are? I mean, how should it go? Do you come in and say, hello, I'm Greg Story, here's the new goal for everyone, or do it a different way? What would you suggest?
Difficult. But at a certain point, you have to set the goal anyway.
Oh, it's just
But
one
if-
message. At what point? At what point?
Yes, yes. Well, the first thing is that you have to understand people. That's really important. That's what I did too when I came back to Japan, to understand my direct, people who reports to me. Then after that, I actually talked to spoke to general manager first, then talked to the manager, then some of the project leaders too. Yes, if the operation size is too big, in that case, it's quite difficult. But try to understand people first. They are all and their expectations, what they would like to do, what they don't want to do, what they are good about, and what they are not really good about that kind of things. Of course, that's the same thing about any other countries. But the first thing that you have to do is probably that. Then after that, set up the goal and what is set up the role to each person, and how to clarify the roadmap and help them to succeed toward the goal. Probably that's the process. Yes.
What else should they do apart from they talk to people, set a goal? What else can they do?
And also, if the role of a country manager is it's not really only about the leadership, but also it's about, I think the biggest mission of the country manager is to increase the sales. So understand the Japanese clients too, existing clients, and also in order to increase, in addition to the upsell, they have to do a bunch of business development. So, yeah, to understand well, concretely speaking, for example, what I did with those different clients was to analyze all the midterm plan of respective clients. Most of them are public companies, so they publish the midterm plans. But also through salespeople, we can have certain they can disclose some of the their midterm plan, and so that will help to make a strategy how to penetrate into these new clients. Sorry, I'm talking about the sales, not really about the leadership, but it's really important too. Yeah.
Okay. What else should they do?
What else?
Should they learn Japanese?
To a certain extent, probably, but not necessarily. As far as they have very good representatives or good people. I mean, as far as they speak English, I don't think they have a lot of problems. Yeah.
Is there anything I haven't asked you about leadership in Japan that I should have asked?
I think the most important thing is to show commitment as a leader. I will actually put my life to reach the goal with you guys, and we do that with you. That's more like mentality kind of thing, probably. When I got here, I was the only first, and I'm not sure if I'm the last, but anyway, the senior management from outside, and from New York or something like that. I had a slight impression that okay, this guy may be a very good education and some very good experiences in overseas, but he may leave sometime, something like that. But that's something I felt, and that's something I really had to eliminate to gain the trust. So I showed that my commitment that I will stay here till we reach the goal together. That I think gain the trust to me a little bit more. Yeah.
What about yourself? What do you do for your own self-education about being a better leader?
Yeah.
What things do you do?
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm learning a lot from managing this company. But also sometimes you have to talk with different people. Sometimes from different industries. If you will work in one company, in that case, there are a lot of good people around you, but people are thinking about the same thing, same goal, same thing. So it's good to sometimes go outside and discuss with the different other CEOs from different industries, or maybe executives from training company like yourself. It's that in order to get the kind of fresh view about what I'm doing. So that's one of the reasons to why I'm trying to make friends with a lot of different people outside the company too.
Yeah, you're active in the community, which is good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
This has
much.
been great, and learned a lot about JASTEC and what you've been doing. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And please join us again for our next episode of Japan's top business interviews.